Have you ever wanted to build an Airtable and Zoom integration but weren't quite sure where to start? You're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to automatically schedule Zoom meetings using Airtable and Zapier, and even update Zoom meetings whenever changes happen in Airtable. My name is Laith Ajjan, and I'm a Senior Developer and Integrations Lead at OptimizeIS. We're proud to be Airtable's Partner of the Year, helping teams like yours build smarter, more efficient systems. If you'd like our assistance in building something specific, tailored to your team's needs, just click the link in the description below to book a call with us. Now, without further ado, let's jump in. So, in Airtable, I have an events table and a users table. Our events table is a table that I'll be connecting to Zapier. So I've already pre-created some of these fields. So we have the event name, date, description, duration, status, our users link, so we can link our users directly to the Zoom meeting. So let's just start by creating our event here. Let's just call it Client Onboarding 2025. And then let's just pick the date to be tomorrow. Our duration will be set in minutes, so we'll just set it to an hour. And then I've already added my user to user table, so we'll just use that. So now that we have our record ready, I've also pre-created some of our Zoom specific fields such as meeting ID, join URL, and password. And the create Zoom meeting here checkbox that we see there is going to be our trigger for Zapier to know which record to pick up. But we will create a new view here. Let's just call it create Zoom meetings. And then we're going to apply a filter so that only records that are checked will show up here. And what this does is that once we click the create Zoom meeting button and it shows up over here, it'll get picked up by Zapier with all the information already populated, such as like the event name, date, description, and duration. Okay, so now that we have this in place in Airtable, let's go to Zapier and create a new Zap. So our trigger will be when new records. Let's select the account. Our table events, and then we're going to limit the view to our create Zoom meeting view that we just created. And then let's just continue. So we will need to make sure that the button is checked. So now that we've checked this and it's in this view, now it'll show up here when we test the trigger. Okay, so now that we have a record, let's continue with selected records and pick Zoom. Our action event is going to be create a meeting. And then once we click continue, we want the meeting type in this case to just be meeting. There are options to also create a webinar, but we'll create a meeting here for the sake of this demo. For the topic, we're just going to map it to our event name. And then the description, we're going to map it to our description field in Airtable. And then when will be the date field that we have. And finally, the duration in minutes, same as we have set it in Airtable. So let's just go to duration being 60. There are other fields that we can preset here, such as like a waiting room, or if we wanted to have an auto recording option, we can set all that. So we can create the fields in Airtable and then send them into Zapier the same way we've mapped other fields. Or we can just directly do a one-time setup in the Zap directly over here. So now if we click to continue and then test our step. So as you can see here, the meeting was sent to Zoom. So now if we go to our Zoom and reload our page, you'll see it created our Client Onboarding 2025 event. So now the final step in our Zap will be just updating that Airtable record with the information about the Zoom meeting. So we will go to update record, select our account, hit continue, pick our events table, and then the record would just be the record that we just created. And then we just want to update the meeting ID, join URL, and password. So we would just go to our create meeting in Zoom. So let's just type in meeting ID and pick this variable here from our second step. And then the same thing for the join URL. And finally, the same thing for our password. The last thing we'd want to do is just set the status to scheduled here so that we know if the Zap is successful. So now we click continue and test step. Now if you go back to Airtable, you'll see the status gets updated to scheduled, and then we have the meeting ID, the join URL, as well as the password all over here. Okay, so now the second step here would be if you wanted to update, for example, the duration, how do we connect it to Zoom? So we're going to create a new Zap. With the trigger in this case being if there are new or updated records. And then we're going to pick our base here, and then our users table, or our events table, sorry. And then let's just pick a new, let's just create a new last modified field. So this can be for all editable fields or only for specific fields, but over here, let's just do the duration. So now that we have that created, so it's monitoring the duration field. So let's just change the duration to be 30 minutes instead. So right now it's set to an hour, but we want it to be 30 minutes instead. So now that we have that in place, we would just pick the last modified column that we just created, and then limit it to the view create Zoom meeting here. Once we click continue and test the trigger, this is the record that gets picked up. So as you can see, it's the exact same meeting that we had created in our first Zap, but the duration is now 30 minutes. So now we're continuing with the selected records. Now if we go to our action item, we would pick the action event. For this, we're going to use the API request feature here. So we're going to do a direct API call to Zoom. So now let's go to the Zoom documentation. So now the event that we want to use is under meetings. If we were to go to the update a meeting, so it's a patch request. So now if we go back to Zapier, our HTTP method, where it's going to be a patch. And then our URL will basically be this URL that we see here. We're just going to copy this. This is the meeting ID. So now if we go to URL, we have the endpoint, and we just have to give it the meeting ID. So the meeting ID from Airtable here, we have already stored it, so we just need to reference it in the link here. So now that we have the URL and the HTTP method in place, the final thing would be the additional request headers. So as we see here, there's a request header here for the content type. So we're going to have content type here as one of our headers, and then application/JSON. Okay. So the last thing that we need to do here is we need to have a body for a request. So in this case, we just want to update the duration. So all we do is just open up some curly brackets and then have the duration to be, and then we just reference our variable here from our record to be 30. And then we simply close our curly brackets. Now that we have everything set up, so it's a patch request, we have the link in place, we have all the headers in place, we would just click on continue, and then now we would just test step. So as you can see here, the response status is 204, which means our request was successful. But let's just go to our Zoom here and double check that. So as you can see here, the meeting time, the meeting duration got updated from an hour to about 30 minutes. If this helped and you want us to build something similar like this for you, please book a call using the link in the description.